What's going on, everyone? My name is Joseph Reynolds of LowKickMMA. Today joining me is Adam Fugitt, and I believe on your birthday as well, so I appreciate your time today and happy birthday as well. Obviously, you got an upcoming bout on February 4th. Coming up to that fight, how are you feeling for it, buddy?
I'm feeling great, man. Thank you for the birthday wishes there, the happy birthday. I appreciate it.
No problem. So, in terms of taking a look at the bout that you have got coming up at the moment, you made your UFC debut. The result didn't go your way, but now you have a chance to go in there and beat someone who's also another prospect who fought in the Dana White Contender Series. But being able to get back in that cage and get your first UFC win, is that the most important thing to you at the moment?
Definitely. I'm very thankful for the opportunity, but I'm very, very anxious to want to prove that I belong here, as I feel I do. And I just want to get in there and prove to everybody that, I didn't, the first fight was 9 days notice. And if you give me a fight camp and time to prepare, I'm a whole different animal. So that's what I want to get in there and show everybody.
Yeah, and when a lot of fighters, the goal is always to get to the UFC, and some do and some don't. But obviously yourself, you did. But when you first made that walkout or got the notice that you were going to be signed to the UFC, what were the sort of emotions that you felt there? If you can sort of put them into words a little bit in terms of how you felt once you knew that the UFC goal was going to be presented to you.
A little bit of disbelief, a little bit of a little bit of disbelief. I was a little bit shocked and, and just had this sense of finally, I'm going to get my opportunity. Even if it's 9 days notice, I'm going to go in there and put on my best, performance I can. And, I was just kind of just hanging out, going through my daily routines like I am now, preparing for whatever might come around the corner. So, I can't say anything out of the norm happened, but there was definitely like some shock and awe and wow, I can't believe that I made this thing happen. So it's been a long journey.
Yeah, and obviously I believe on the regional scene in America, you were able to pick up 3 pro titles as well before going to the UFC. But obviously fighters hear rumors about things happening, but when the call did eventually come, was it completely out of the blue, or did you know that there was a little interest there? What was that sort of process, knowing when you found out you did originally get your first fight?
It was kind of like that cliche of, stay ready. I got that phone call. Hey, your name's kind of being thrown around here. We're not sure. There's no guarantees, but you need to stay ready. And I said, okay, I'm, as I always do, I'm in the gym every day. I live for this sport. I not only do I train it, I like to teach it. I put everything into this sport. So I wasn't, too far off. I always am in shape, always training and drilling and competing. So they just kind of called me and said, stay ready. And that happened like at the start of July, I would say. And we got through. We were almost towards the end, like getting like 9 days out. And I was sitting here and I saw my manager call, and he was checking in with me at least, once a week. And I was like, hey, what's going on, man? Just figured it would be another kind of update. And he's like, we're going, man. You're in. Just utter shock. I honestly, it wasn't anything special. I kind of just sat there like in silence, like, you're joking, right? And he's like, nope. How do you feel about, July 29th, I believe it was. And there was no way I was turning it down. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, when you do get past sort of your first fight in the UFC, obviously the goal then is to establish yourself within the promotion. You've accomplished the goal of getting there, but now to establish yourself. In terms of 2023, you get this win, it gives you a bit of momentum. What is the sort of goal for this year and where you hope to see yourself by the end of it?
Well, everybody wants to talk about my age and stuff. And I just feel like, I'm a little late to the party, a little late to the show. And I want to make up for lost time. I'm a little fashionably late. Hopefully I finish out this year with like 4 wins, and I get some fight night bonuses behind that. That's my goal. That's my, what I want to achieve this year. It might be a little cliche, but hey, I'm a competitor. I just want to get in there and compete and reinforce the fact that I earned this and I belong there.
Yeah, and when you take a look at your opponent for this upcoming fight in Yusaku, I'm gonna get there one day. But in terms of sort of taking a look at your opponent that you have got for this fight, what are your thoughts on his style and what he sort of brings? There's a lot of excitement around his name as well, but in terms of what he brings to the table, what is it that you've seen in him?
He's he's kind of a karate style, right? He's much of a counter striker. Really likes to throw that left hand. He's got more belief in his hands, than a lot of the guys I've fought. He's definitely not afraid to throw. So, that being said, he's very comfortable with his hands, and I'm very comfortable with my feet, my kicks, my hands, my elbows, and my knees. So, I'm going to have a variety of combinations for him of those two. I'm also very confident in wrestling and jujitsu. And in my last fight, I was a little bit impatient and pressed passing a guard that I should have been a little bit more patient with, and ended up paying the price and losing the takedown for him. So I definitely am incentivized to get in there and prove everybody wrong that my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling is better than that, and make up for that mistake in that last fight and make them pay for that. So yeah, that's kind of what I see right now.
Yeah, and then obviously Inter's obviously won't be overlooking this, and he spoke a little bit about what you wanted by the end of the year. But obviously, in terms of fighting in the UFC now and being 2 fights in after this bout, in terms of looking ahead and for what you're looking to do in the UFC, what is the sort of overall goal that you'd be looking to accomplish in there, if you do have one, in terms of what you're looking to do?
Man, I want to put on memorable fights for sure, but I also want to fight, the best guys that I can. So for me, it's all I can do is start climbing that ladder, as far as opponent goes. I want to make it up as far as I can go and fight the toughest competition that I can fight. I want to fight big names like, the guys I've watched on the UFC for years, guys I respect. I want to do get in there and put on performances against some of those guys. I'm not calling anybody out, but I would love to get in there and put on a fight against like a Robbie Lawler or Jorge Masvidal. I mean, it would be cliche to call those guys out, but because I'm at the bottom, I'm essentially a gatekeeper to the UFC at this point, getting the show. So I have a long ways to go, but I want to fight the best that I can, and that's what I've spent all these years, doing, trying to get here is just put myself in the right position to fight the best guys.
Yeah, and obviously in the UFC debut, the result didn't go your way, but in terms of sort of the mentality that you have to take after that, I'm sure there's a slight down period after the bat, but in terms of getting back on the horse and moving forward again, what was that sort of like moving forward from your last fight and now moving into this one as well?
For sure. Everybody thought that, this layoff that I took between that fight and this one was kind of my choice or by choice. And it wasn't, the second that one was over, we were back at home. I took like a week or two to kind of just let bruises heal up and, to sit and kind of take in the moment, after the fight. And as soon as that week was up, it was all about, improving for the next one, looking for the next one. When are we going to be back in there? And I was just waiting for the word. And, I found out back in October about this one, and, it was a long notice, but, not one that I was going to turn away. So I was waiting for the next opportunity and preparing myself. I went out to the PI. I did all their testing, trying to see where my deficiencies were. And that was amazing. That's helped me out a lot. I came back and have been putting work towards that. Talking with my coaches and fixing some stuff in my camp that, I wanted to improve on. I'm sorry about that. Fixing some stuff in my camp that I want to improve on. It's all just been trying to put, trying to grow for the next one. That's all it's been, short-term memory loss when it comes to the previous fight,
Yeah, and then you touched on a little bit in terms of the coaching aspect side of MMA that you like to do as well. Obviously, it sort of is able to give you a different landscape on the sport in a sense in terms of the way that you teach it. But In terms of looking at where you are now and then coaching the sport and seeing the next generation come through, what's that sort of like for you to look at the sport from a sort of different perspective?
It's all about like paying it forward, right? I had veteran fighters helping me on the way up, you know, mentors and whatnot, and people giving me advice, and now it's just time for me to pay it back, you know. And with the amateur fighters I work with, anybody that kind of comes in contact with me, you know, I love being a student of the sport. I really do. I feel like that's the best thing you can do for yourself when you're a fighter is constantly trying to put yourself in the position to be the student. But also, you know, with my, you know, maturity through the sport, there's times that I'm asked to be, you know, the teacher, and that has also opened up, you know, such a different avenue for me. And you know, I really do enjoy being the teacher and helping these guys, these young guys, achieve, you know, their goals in competition, and helping them grow, and hopefully seeing some of them to the next level. You know, I want to be that. You know, I back in the day, you know, we talked about paving that Oregon Trail. We have so many good young athletes here in Oregon in MMA, and you know, just we have to get people in the big show to get them there. Is how I felt about it, and so I really want to be that guy. I was that trailblazer that blazed the path, and opened that up for those guys, and I just want to see more people going down that path.
Yeah, and then a little bit about in terms of the regional scene in America. Obviously, I know more about the UK than I would anywhere else. But in terms of what's going on in America at the moment, and looking at the landscape of that, what is that like for fighters that are sort of coming through at the moment, whether they're amateur, just turned pro, or getting on the brink of signing with bigger promotions?
Um, what is it like? Um, I feel like the opportunities are kind of endless, you know. I think it's more about picking the right path that's going to suit the amateur fighter, right? Um, I've seen it a couple different ways now. I've seen it where you have these amateur fighters, and they, you know, they have like amateur wrestling background or a collegiate wrestling background. They come in, they get a couple fights, and they go pro, and they immediately start pushing for that next level. I've also seen some guys that, you know, they didn't have, say, the collegiate career, or maybe it just wasn't as long as some of the other guys, and they come in and they put they put anywhere from like 10 to 15 fights in the amateurs, and try to really give themselves a good record before they go pro. And I've seen that be rewarded with, you know, opportunities in the big promotions right away. You know, getting their debut pro fight in like a Bellator, or you know, that's where I've seen it the most. Even the PFL, Lucas Barbosa is one of the guys I train with, who's just world renowned for his jujitsu, and he's getting his debut in PFL. You know, so you know, there's a lot of different avenues here. There's a lot of different opportunities. I think you just got to pick the right path. What one's for you? You don't want to jump into the pros too early if you don't have that competition background, and be trying to learn, you know, those hard to learn things in competition about yourself. Do you have that grit? Do you have that grind, and that heart that, you know, is going to push you through in a close fight? You know, you want to already kind of know that. So I think it's important that in your amateurs, be it like a collegiate wrestling, or you know, if you're a jujitsu practitioner, you're definitely getting that opportunity in the sport that you're competing in. Muay Thai, I did Muay Thai as well. You definitely want to answer a lot of those questions before you go pro in competition.
Yeah, and then just to get back to the fight a little bit, the final thing for myself is, obviously we spoke about the goals for 2023 and then in the UFC as well. But for this fight, what is the ideal outcome that you'd be looking to get, and you sort of a little prediction just on how you see the fight going?
I've been saying, you know, I want the KO. I want to go in there and get and work for that and get that. But realistically, it's just I want to get the finish. You know, I feel like I am the embodiment of kind of a mixed martial artist. I'm not great in any one aspect. That I'm more of a melting pot. It's gonna take me mixing up my games to get the W. So, but no matter where the fight goes, I just want, fans to know I'm gonna be looking for the finish and via either KO, TKO, sub, whatever I got to do. I want to get that. I want to get that finish and put myself in a position that the UFC, sees me as a finisher, sees me as somebody that puts on entertaining fights.
100%.
And maybe
100%. And that is everything from myself. If you'd just like to take a chance, shiny sponsors, teammates, anything like that, obviously just feel free to go ahead, buddy.
100%. Yeah, I gotta thank a couple of guys that have been with me, all through the pandemic and been supporting me. Brad's Cottage Grove Chevrolet, Evergreen Roofing with Curtis Large, Hot Valley Brewing. Shout out my team, Art of War, my coaches Jason Georgiana and Cobb Tongsai. Yeah, and just I have a Convergence Physical Therapy. They've kept me healthy, and then a friend of mine, Connor McAdams, who's been helping me with my diet. So man, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
It's an absolute pleasure, and I appreciate your time very much. Obviously, I don't need to tell you, it's a UFC card. A lot of MMA fans are going to turn in when it's the UFC, but keep your eye on this fight in particular, and a lot more on the card as well. The prelims are always an exciting one to see, but I appreciate your time very much, and thank you for joining me, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKickMMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.